Let's get Daniel on the show. And Daniel, appreciate you coming on and joining us tonight, my man.
Oh man, I'm glad you guys had me on. I mean, I've appeared a few times this year via message, but this time you brought me with a live mic. What could go wrong, right?
Yeah, and I need to change this little this graphic right here because we're not doing Ranking with Jake right now. We are doing Tennessee Florida preview, man.
There we go. Yeah, Daniel, it's good to have you on here, man. Obviously, Florida not having the season they had hoped. But overall, that has nothing to do with this coming weekend and the matchup that we see here. But tell us a little bit about the Gators. Maybe some Tennessee fans don't know, other than the fact that we're happy that y'all have lost a lot. But like I said, going into this game, I can tell you BVS is real, and we're not really cheering about how bad Florida's record is this year. We're worried about how well you are about to do and perform at home when Tennessee comes into town.
Oh man, yeah. It's it's definitely one of those games where I know it's cliche, but the records don't matter. But this is a Florida team that has not been at home in over a month. So you've got a lot of Gator fans who it's been a very interesting season as far as how the schedule's broken down. First 2 weeks of the season we're at home, and then we're away for about a month until we host Texas. And then we were gone for a week, hosted Mississippi State, and then we're gone for a month. And now we've got you guys and Florida State back to back, two big rivalry games. So there are a lot of fans who probably have bought tickets, months ago, thinking this would be a good season for the Gators. They're going to come and pack the swamp and make it loud. It's a sold out crowd, which is for a 3-7 team is really good. And of course, as you guys know, the swamp being crazy, but perhaps one of the biggest pieces of news out of the Florida Gators as far as this game's concerned is Caleb Banks, our all SEC defensive tackle, who has only played one game this season at LSU, got injured in that game after missing the first few games with injury. We thought he was done for the year. He's back. He wanted to come back and wanted to play these final 2 games. And so for the Gators defense that really has struggled in the middle of the defense, this is a massive, massive get for us. So if there's something your fans wanted to know that they may not know about the Gators, I would definitely point to this is a home crowd that hasn't seen the team play in forever and is hungry to see it. And then B, you're returning one of your best players in the preseason in time for this matchup. But before we go forward, I mean, I've told you guys in the past talking that for me, the Tennessee game early in the year, hearing Rocky Top in some ways makes me think college football is here because that used to be the first real game for Florida. And now it feels so weird at the end. But I do want to, I have one other tradition that I've not done this year because sad news out of Vol Nation, but I do want to give a shout out to Big Vol Daddy's family. That guy was awesome. I used to watch his Tennessee, Florida reviews every year, like watch them back. I just can't do it this year, unfortunately, although I may. And one thing I do want to say about that is that if he had to go out, at least he went out with Tennessee on a winning streak over Florida. So I did want to say that to ingratiate myself to your fans that it is true. It is something I would do. And as you talked about BVS, there is no greater BVS than 2014 Florida, Tennessee, his review where he goes, here comes the freshman end to lead the Gators to a victory. And of course, the Gators come back, win behind Treon Harris in Neyland Stadium, and then Will Muschamp with one of the in my opinion, one of the all-time great Florida Tennessee moments where he says, feels really great making all these people disappointed or something to that effect. But yeah, it's going to be a fun one for sure this weekend.
Michael, I don't think he really helped on the VVS syndrome.
No, absolutely not. I'm just glad that he didn't bring up the next year's game because that one hurt along with the 2017 one. That one really stung.
Just say Tennessee's had their chances on the road against Florida in this terrible streak that we got going on here,
and that's why Tennessee fans against Florida have such bad BVS because it's like when you look back over the last, it's 22 years now, because that's the last time that Tennessee has won in the Swamp, was in 2003. You look back at some of the scores and the games there. You had the 2005 game in which Florida won 16-7. And granted, I don't remember that game. I was too young at that point, but something tells me that there was a lot of chances Tennessee had to win that game. I mean, you did have some blowouts. You had the 2007 year where Tim Tebow and company just absolutely blew Tennessee out of the water. Yep. Yeah, Cam Newton came in at the end of that game. You had the game in Lane Kiffin's 1 year at Tennessee, 23-13. Had chances to win that game as well. You go to 2011, Derek Dooley actually had a chance to beat Florida in the Swamp, 33-23 to final. Another pretty big victory in 2013. Then you got the 2015 matchup. That was the one where it's the Butch Jones failing to go for two in the second half that ultimately would have tied the game and sent it to overtime after Florida came back. Then you've got the Hail Mary in 2017.
That one hurt.
That one really hurt.
That one hurt.
Derek Dooley never came, or not. Jeremy Pruitt never came close to winning in 2019. You had the 2021 Heupel's first year, where if not for the dropped pass on fourth down coming right out of the half, it might have been a completely different ball game. But Florida ended up running away with it in the second half. And then 23, Joe Milton's year, Tennessee was
the worst quarter of football I think I've ever seen.
Tennessee was the better team coming into that game
by far,
and played like an FCS team in that second quarter that just lost Tennessee the game. So it's just it never fails. Even if Tennessee is the better team going into the Swamp, something always happens.
We find a way.
Florida comes out with a win.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, heck, that 2013 game, what you guys may or may not remember as a Gator fan, I do, is you probably win that game if you don't break Jeff Driscoll's leg as he throws a pick six. And then bring in Tyler Murphy, who has a completely different skill set that your defense has not prepared for, and that changed that game. Just all sorts of random things that happened in this game. And, man, 2005. Unfortunately, I have to find the photo somewhere, but I actually have a photo of freshman in college, me, my college roommate, and my brother and some of his friends, one of which goes to every game, almost every game with me now. Hair is painted blue. We got orange and blue face paint on. It's totally crazy. And that was about, I would say, 60, 70 pounds ago for me. So most people would be like, that's not you. And it's like, yeah, well, time catches up to all of us 20 years later, right?
Fact. Well, going into this matchup, man, as a Florida fan, what's other than the fact that it's Tennessee, right? I understand that's what's going to get everybody. But what are you excited about in this matchup, given the fact that obviously the team's not performed? But I'm a circle back to what I said right before we went live, man. Florida's so weird this year because you take away the Kentucky game, 100%. For some reason, I think Kentucky just has a number on you guys right now, and I don't know why or how. But you take away that game. Florida has had a tough schedule, but they played everybody tough as well. They're just a play or two away every time. So, like, that's what has me really nervous about this game on the road is like, I feel like given the fact that you're out of bowl eligibility at this point, it doesn't matter. And I guess maybe why is that? Why is that to this Florida team that is now head coachless, running on an interim, have no shot at a bowl, but yet somehow still fight that's so unlike today's age, I guess. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Some of my thoughts on that, and I was actually saying it last week as I sat in Oxford watching us again get to the fourth quarter on the road against a top 10 team, which we've done 4 times this year, to what you're talking about. I mean, I think I might be counting our LSU game, who is no longer top 10 in there. Well,
LSU, Miami, Texas A&M, and Ole Miss, and then you had the Georgia game that was in Jacksonville.
Yep. And, I mean, also Texas,
Yeah.
who was,
Yeah, that
you
one,
know,
man.
at the top then, and we beat them. But I mean, LSU, outside of, you know, a few things, was close, but Miami in the last 5 minutes is a 6-point ball game. Starting the fourth quarter, I believe it was a 7-point ball game at A&M. Georgia, we led until about 5 minutes left, maybe less than that. And of course, Ole Miss, we led until the first play of the fourth quarter. So it really is a team that really have played a lot of great teams close. And then, of course, Mississippi State is a questionable decision by Jeff Lebby to throw the ball away from beating us at home. But with that said, what would I attribute some of that to? Well, this is kind of what helped, I believe, a lot of Billy Napier's recruiting classes, and there's a lot of legacies on this team. And I say they help the recruiting classes because Miles Graham, who's got an interesting connection to this game, I'll say in a sec. But Miles Graham was a top 5 linebacker, I think, in his class. You know, he's a big name. Also, true freshman Ben Hanks Jr. Or the third. He's another guy. His dad played at Florida under Steve Spurrier. You've got Vernell Brown the third on offense. So I think this is not only a team that loves being Gators, but there are plenty of guys on this team that are legacies that are on this team, you know, telling these guys these games still matter, these rivalry games still matter, and that's why you've not seen the quit that you see sometimes with some of these teams outside of whatever happened in Kentucky. And I can tell you by halftime it felt a lot colder than it was sitting there in that end zone.
It's always our coldest game of the year. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Didn't feel cold until the game went south. That's all I'll say about that. But I think having the legacies on this team, and especially 2 of the guys being stars, granted Vernell Brown III has missed a few weeks due to injury. I don't know. He was listed as questionable for this game. Yeah. But, you know, guys that aren't just on the team. And there are also some walk-ons that we have that are also legacies right now. But those 3 are guys who have played decent amount of times this year, and some like Miles Graham that are essentially, you know, captains and starters on this team. Vernell Brown III, who is arguably the best receiver outside of Dallas Wilson, who's only played 4 games on this team. So you've got that leadership, and then again, you bring that atmosphere here to where it's home. I think, you know, as we talked about, Florida at Miami, you know, 6 points. At A&M, 7 points. Georgia, Ole Miss, away from home. You know, very close games. I think now at the Swamp, when you have that difference maker of the crowd in the Swamp, I think that gives Florida the chance to overcome, you know, what they've struggled against. And not just because it's Tennessee, battered Vol syndrome, and we always beat Tennessee at home.
You can say it with a little bit more, like, you know, confidence or in your chest. Like, it's okay, buddy. You can pimp that. No. Like, I understand.
Oh, I want to. I mean, heck, 8-year-old me is still sitting in 1995 enjoying a downpour and a 62-30 win. Which, fun story, I don't know if I've ever said on this podcast before. I think I've said it to Michael. I remember walking out of the stadium after that big win, and the Pride of Southland, where they used to have the band buses for the opposing team, is right outside of our basketball stadium, which I'd have to walk by to get to my car. And just trying to be a nice kid walking out, I saw one of the band members and I said, "Oh, well, you guys sounded good." In retrospect, it sounds like I was just trolling crap out of this guy after, you know, they just watched a dude's tongue get severed, which crud, I can't Joey Kent, that's his name.
Yep.
You know, but I was just trying to be nice. But again, looking back, it's like, oh, I totally trolled that poor band member. I feel bad. So if they're watching your show, there you go. I apologize. They're like, yeah,
he's been thinking about that moment for the last 30 years.
He's like, or I just unlocked a core memory of like, oh, screw that kid. Now I know what he's doing. Now I'm gonna track him down.
No, right on. Well, I want to talk about the quarterback matchup, man. DJ Lagway, we presume, is going to be the starter. I mean, I think he played really well last week. I know there was a scare. Obviously, both of these quarterbacks are very turnover prone. But DJ is a player that I do feel like his ceiling is just ultra high. We've seen his low of lows, but we've seen him play very, very well. And I guess what's your take on DJ as a Florida fan? How have you been, I guess, mindset wise with him? Obviously, not hit the expectations that we all presumed preseason, but where's your head at as a fan right now going into this game?
For me, I'm probably higher than many people I know because I know there are some Gator fans that are in
Are
the
done.
camp
They're
of,
over, right? Yeah.
oh yeah, they're like it's done. He can go, and I'm thinking this is a guy who missed all spring and most of fall camp, missed summer, had various injuries. This is a guy in a Billy Napier offense that I have been very open for years I didn't care about. And this is a guy whose quarterback coach was essentially an analyst. Like if you go down the list of assistant coaches before, especially before they expanded the field for the year from the NCAA, it really was an analyst as a quarterback coach. This is not a guy who's had, a top tier quarterback coach situation at Florida or been in offense like Josh Heupel's offense as very QB friendly.
Right.
So I'm not fully sold out on him. Plus, this year he didn't have Dallas Wilson until the Tennessee game, and then lost him in the Georgia game. Currently, he's missing Dallas Wilson, Trey Wilson, when healthy, can be dangerous. Had 9 catches for over 100 yards against Georgia. You're missing him, and he's been in and out this season. Vernell Brown III, who I talked about earlier, who's arguably the best receiver on this team as a true freshman. He's missed plenty of time, especially the last 3 games. Heck, the fact he put on the show he did last week for most of that Ole Miss game, when you're considering he's missing 3 of his top 5, are I would say his top 3 receivers. I think it shows the talent. Now, if you put him in a better offensive system and get him some real coaching, I think we see that sky's the limit mentality that we've seen. We saw it last year and the things we've seen flashes of this year. And I will say this, looked it up before I recorded my podcast to preview this week, but I saw Tennessee's like 115th against the pass or something in the nation. I think, and I know you're going to talk about Boo Carter later, but I think this defensive backfield may be just what DJ Lagway needs to get his confidence back, provided he doesn't blow it early.
It's unfortunate that you say that. It's
a
unfortunate that you say that, but it's 100% right, because I was going to bring up the fact that, DJ a lot of times this year has not looked good, but Tennessee has had the ability this year to make every single quarterback that we play against, except for Blake Shapen and Mississippi State, look like a
That was because
world-beater
our D line was just out. Like they had a game though. That wasn't necessarily
They did,
secondary.
yeah.
Here's what I'll say. I actually really like our corners. Ty Redmond is a true freshman that is balling, and he's only getting better week by week. Colton Hood came over from Colorado, and he has been holding down the other side of that. But where we really lack is at the safety and nickel positions.
Mhm.
So if you want to have a heyday on our defense, that's where you need to attack us. So many mismatches in the passing game when y'all spread it out, 4 or 5 wide. So that's where I'll be focusing my attention on in that matchup.
But here's the biggest key for me that I think is going to help DJ Lagway more than anything. Florida has an absolute dog at running back in Jaden Ball, and Tennessee over the past several years has been very good against the run game. They have forced teams to pass on them, and some teams have made them pay whenever they pass the ball. This year, that run defense has not been there. I mean, Tennessee numerous times has given up 125, 150 plus yards on the ground per game to go along with the 200, 250 plus yards that other teams getting through the air. Yeah. So if Jaden Ball has a day on the ground, that's just going to open up everything else for DJ Lagway, and Tennessee could be in trouble once again, just like they have been in previous years.
With that being said, Tennessee's best defensive game, against the run was Oklahoma. And then in the second half, Mateer figured out he could run himself. And then we gave up 80 yards, 100 yards, whatever. I think in total rushing, I think we gave up close to 150, but we held the running game, running backs wise, finally under 100 yards. But then, like I said, John Mateer realized that he could escape the pocket, which is something that I don't know if DJ will do a lot, but I know he's definitely capable of is extending plays.
Yep. We have seen a lot more DJ Lagway design runs in the last few games since does he want him? Yes, I do want Lane.
You're out of your mind if you say no, right? And I'm talking like anybody that's looking for a head coach, you want Lane, right?
Yeah.
If anything, it's just for the storylines. I don't know.
I just want to say this. I have said for going on 2 years now, Lane Kiffin is going to Florida.
He's doing it to troll us, bro. Like he's only doing it to troll us. Like, on God.
Yeah. I will say this, just stepping in on the Lane situation. Many Gator fans not feeling Tennessee fans are the smartest fan base in the SEC. However, let me finish that thought before you react negatively. You guys, without doing anything, have stepped up in the level of smart fans in the SEC in the rankings through doing nothing in the past week. I won't say which fan base it was, but I had a fan base arguing with me the other day on my personal Twitter that if a certain coach that we may have just mentioned were to not be allowed to coach, let's say, a playoff game, then there's no way that he could poach any of his former players from the school he's currently at. And although Rocky Top says there ain't no telephone bills, at least you guys know how they work. Apparently this fan base doesn't know that you can call, text, FaceTime, or any of that. It's hilarious. But that's all I'll say is certain schools in the state with the lowest education ranking in America kind of reinforced the data this week. And that's all I'll say.
There's only one other team he could possibly hate more in Tennessee, right? So we all know which fan base he's talking about, right?
Listen, it has nothing to do with my great buddy Landon at the My Dogs Are Barking podcast.
No, I'm joking, man. That's awesome. But back to the matchup here this week. Obviously, Florida is riding 11-game home winning streak against Tennessee. Tennessee does look to spoil that. But Daniel, I'm gonna ask your keys to the game here. What are some things you're looking for in this matchup to help secure the Gators a victory?
On offense, usually my number one thing is run the ball, for Jaden Baugh.
Run the ball.
But on this is actually my third key for offense because so many teams the last few weeks have been selling out to stop the run. And I think if Tennessee sells out to stop the run, we could be having a hard time. But if we can take it, so number one for me on that offense is try and get that passing game going just a little bit so you guys cannot key off on Jaden Baugh. And then, of course, getting Jaden Baugh going, as Michael talked about. On defense, I mean, you just got to play disciplined. Hold on.
Sorry, no.
No, that's fine. I just wanted to...
Sean came in here and said, man, he'll say the same thing about Lagway as he said about Lenore Sellers, giving them an offensive line and some weapons to catch the ball, which they both have weapons. But they have the potential to be the best quarterbacks in the conference. Obviously, not done that statistics-wise this year, but I think that's only to blame their offensive line. I mean, I do feel like offensive line has holes. That's where I'm hoping Tennessee. I am hoping Tennessee sells out on the run and forces DJ to win the game. I do. I would rather that than the opposite because Jaden Baugh, I've seen his work and his talent, and he does tend to take over a game, kind of like Kyron Lacey did against you guys last week. He has that type of potential, and I don't want to see that as a Tennessee fan.
I would say if we had a even average offense as far as like scheme,
right?
I think Jaden Baugh would be considered the best back in the conference. Like the dude doesn't go down on the first tackler hardly ever, if at all. Tons of yards after the run, but when you, like you said, when you've got an offensive line or you don't have much of a threat from a passing game for whatever reason, whether it's you've got your top 3 receivers out, or hey, if we run 4 hitches every third down and run it 8 yards on a 3rd and 9. Not saying that's part of the plan, but happens a lot.
Do we need to be taking notes? Do we need
Yeah. Well, it's
Coach Heupel. I got the game plan right here.
Hey, Tim
Oh,
Banks.
man.
Hey.
It has gotten a little bit better with Billy Gonzalez taking over, and I will say that Billy Gonzalez himself, of course, receivers coach for Urban Meyer, receivers coach for Dan Mullen, came back for Billy Napier. This is a guy who's been at Florida, wants to win for Florida, and definitely understands this rivalry a little bit more than a coach who calls Kirby smart and congratulates him on beating us in a rivalry game and wears Georgia colors in the Florida-Georgia matchup. But I won't name him.
Is he not? He's not over there right now, is he?
He might have been at Georgia a few weeks ago. Maybe he's there now, preparing them for next year's matchup. But
Fair enough.
as you can tell, I do not remember things or take shots at all. I like to have fun here.
Absolutely. I don't blame you one bit. Michael, you got anything to add in this matchup, big dog?
No, I've already pretty much said my key for Florida to win the ball game, and that is Jaden Ball has got to get going. And if he can get going, then I think that's just going to open up the passing game. And DJ Lagway is good enough to go out there and beat you if you cannot stop the running game. Now, as far as Florida on defense, you just have to make sure that you put pressure on Joey Aguilar, because anytime that we have seen a team that has put pressure on him,
he makes mistakes, man.
He's made mistakes. He's put the ball in places that he shouldn't. And to flip it over to the Tennessee side, the keys to victory, you've got to get the running game going. You cannot pass the ball 40 times in a game or more and go out there and beat Florida on the road. You've got to establish some sort of running game, which Tennessee has not done in a conference game since he played against Alabama back in it's been a month ago now.
Right.
Defensively, that's where you've got to stop the running game. You've got to stop Jaden Ball, and you've got to make DJ Lagway go out there and beat you himself.
I think my key to the game for the Vols is one that we've seen be the, I think, biggest problem in the Joe Milton year. But also we've seen it be a problem this entire season. That's tackling. There needs to be 0 yards after catch. I understand that's possible, but as little yards after catch as possible. And just like you said in the running game, we can't be diving at this guy and arm tackling or whatnot. He's going to break those tackles. I'm talking about Jaden Ball, of course. So defensively, Tennessee's got to wrap up, got to tackle, be firm with it, gang tackle, whatever you got to do to get the ball on the ground and force some turnovers, man. That's huge. Tennessee's defense has been great at forcing turnovers, but at the end of the day, they're also so bad at defense when they can't force the turnover. So I would say the key to Florida, get the first down. If you're on offense and you can get that first down, you have all the potential in the world to go on a 13, 14 play drive and literally go right down our throat and score, because I'm not even going to say it's a Florida thing. It's literally like our defense thing. If we cannot get a 3-and-out or get a turnover, it's going to be a long drive.
Or if you get to 3rd down and long, just know it's a guarantee you're getting a first down.
That's a fact. Defense. I feel so much better in a 3rd and 5 than I do in a 3rd and 16. It is so bad.
100%.
You sound like Gator fans in the Todd Grantham era.
I'm telling you, man, it has been crazy. Rhonda, yes, the injury report has come out. Tennessee had a few names added to it. One in particular is Miles Kitzelman. He will be out for the game.
I've got the report from last night pulled up. I have not seen tonight's.
What a spot of potential. If Gator fans got to look out for somebody, look out for number 0 in the offense, Ethan Davis. He's got some massive potential. He's been banged up all year, but he's finally healthy. And especially with Miles Kitzelman being out and he's having to step up now, look for him to have a big day.
Yeah, and also another one at tight end that's probably going to be subbing in and out with Ethan Davis, a guy that we hadn't seen much of this year, Deshaun Brain, a true freshman that has got a lot of hype coming into this. Expect to see him as well. But one name that Vols fans are excited to see that is not on the injury report this time, Travis Smith Jr.
There you go.
Highly touted freshman wide receiver is making the trip to Gainesville. Don't know if he'll get to play or not, but he is not on the injury report.
Well, I'll say this: with Miles Kitzelman being out, there is a very good possibility there's going to be some formations where we have 4 wide receivers in play. So, very big chance that he could get some playing time.
And Daniel, while we got you on here, I do have a question here. Bryce Thornton, was he not the one that was committed to Tennessee for quite some time and then flipped to Florida? I believe it was last season, kind of last minute. Is that who that was, or am I thinking of somebody else, Skylar?
I think that's somebody else, but I don't know who it would be.
I
remember the name, or I remember that sequence happening.
Yeah,
I know it was a defensive back.
I think, and I'm gonna look on it. Yeah, I think that was Onis Cannonbanny. Name sounds right. Freshman, but Bryce Thornton is a third-year junior at Florida.
It's not Cannonberry sounds a little bit more familiar, but I can't remember for the life of me. But I do remember that happening.
I remember who it was. It was Lagonza Hayward.
Yes.
That's who it was.
He's played quite a bit this year. In fact, he got a sack last week for the Gators. Florida's defensive secondary has gone in and out with tons of injuries. In fact, what's funny is you look at the you could put it funny in
half your team's
ways.
On the injury report.
Yeah, most of those guys have been on there for most of the season. So like Aaron Gates went out, I believe, against Mississippi State, but that's given guys like Hayward plenty of chances to come in. Of course, I talked about Ben Hanks earlier, the younger Ben Hanks earlier getting a chance to come in. Another young guy who's been doing well, Jaden Woods, at one of the end positions. In fact, I said one of the keys for the game on my podcast is Jaden Woods might have, and this is another fun game for Tennessee fans for your BVS. 1999, Florida, Tennessee, true freshman, or maybe redshirt freshman. Alex Brown gets 4 sacks on T. Martin and an interception. Woods last week picks off Chambliss, sets it up for Florida to take the lead, and Florida holds on to the lead for a while in that game. And I do apologize if you see me moving around. I do have a wild kitten that keeps attacking me. And so to keep her from going after my feet, I've been holding her. She's appeared on work meetings as well recently for that reason.
Yeah, so I do have one more quick question. You mentioned that most of these guys have been on the injury report for most of the season for Florida. Y'all don't happen to have any guys on there that should have been on the injury report for the last month of the season, but has still been told that they're going to play and then has suddenly started seeing less playing time, have you? Because, I don't know which team in the SEC has had that, but apparently they're no longer with their current team anymore.
They weren't really hurt, were they?
I'm
sorry. This is for Daniel. I'm sorry. You don't have anybody acting like they're hurt, do you? Maybe enter the transfer portal. It's not even open, or I don't know.
Surprisingly, from what I know, we have not. Now I don't know. We've got a true freshman linebacker on there, and I'm not going to be able to think of his name. If you've got it up, you can probably see it just as well as I can. He's the only name that I am not fully familiar with.
Is it
Ty Jackson? Yeah. Now I can say, again, I guess this is an insider baseball on this one. We have a locker in the Gators game day locker room with my family's plaque on it. Ty Jackson is the player that has that locker this year, so I really hope he's not just sitting out. He's the only one that I am sure I've not seen get injured in a game. You would think with Billy Napier being fired halfway through the season, we'd have lots of opt-outs. It has not appeared like that at all. Even like Dallas Wilson, you don't play against Georgia for a quarter and a half, go limping off the field, and then have surgery because you're sitting out. Why play that Georgia game? So
yeah, I was just bringing that up because we've got a former member of Tennessee that apparently should have been on the injury report the last month in Boo Carter. But we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But no, Daniel, appreciate you coming on with us tonight. Before you head off here, will you tell the folks where they can find your podcast at?
yes, you can find me on X at Gator Podcast, and then on YouTube at Gator Truth. You can also search for Gator Truth wherever you get your podcasts, and you should be able to find it. Definitely always good hanging out with you guys. These are great guys. If you're Tennessee fans, maybe checking them out for the first time, got to give a shout to both of them. I've had Michael on before. Skylar gave us a preview before the season, and I was like, let's do like a 15, 20-minute preview. It went an hour because he's such a good guy, just loves to have fun.
Yeah.
And then finally, I've got to give a prediction for this game before I get out of here, right?
No, you don't. No, you don't. No,
well,
we know where this is going. All right. No,
well,
it's
not that bad. I think you guys score more times than Florida does. With that said, I think Florida wins the game. 31-30. Sure, you get 6 scores. 3 of them are field goals. We get 5 scores. 4 of them are touchdowns. And it would just be great to give us that little bit of momentum heading into FSU next week. But anyways, thank you guys. If you got anything else for me, I'm here. But definitely always a good time.
Yeah, appreciate you coming on, man. Good luck to y'all in the swamp, but hopefully not too much because we want to finally get a win. So
finally, dude. Appreciate you being here.